It's reductive, dehumanizing even. Nobody ever sees me. They project their fantasies, their desire onto me. And that guy from the language exchange, for example, Laurent, he's already grabbed my waist multiple times. Even though I flinched and pulled away, I can't just be ever, it seems. Well, now you're making me feel guilty for being attracted to you. We can go back to being friends if it makes you feel better, but I'm not sure I'd be able to. Maybe, said Nora, dragging herself out of bed. Coffee? We don't own the rights to how we're perceived or imagined by others, but that doesn't mean it isn't violating. What had he done with the thought of her, and why could she feel it? Why was it palpable? Why could she smell it hanging in the air like spoiled milk? Why could she taste it in every forkful of instant noodles? She pushed her bowl aside, fork cluttering against the porcelain. She'd lost her appetite. Dry gagged. Everything tasted, sounded, smelled of him taking liberties with the idea of her, pulling her apart and reassembling her like a Mrs. Potato Head, all the while unaware that he was doing it, that he'd reduced her to a plaything and stuck ears where they didn't belong, chose his favorite set of eyes, removed the mouth. Who needs one? Anyway, when you're a blank face projected onto arbitrary, you're rendered, but you have just enough of an identity, of individuality, to serve as the screen, to personify all their desires and projections, and for them to think it's not their imagination, but you. Nora lay in bed, heart pounding in her chest. He'd followed her. He had, wide awake, bad dream. And now she rose, afraid she'd find him outside her apartment door or in her stairwell. Fastened the chain lock. She did. Shut the curtains, 3 stories high. Turned on the kitchen light above the stove to dispel the darkness should it morph into a man who de-lived God knows what with the fantasy of her. A man who resented her autonomy, her boundaries, her refusal to assume the role he'd cast her in. But what if he was outside somewhere? What if he saw her light come on? Nausea and goosebumps evoked by a near stranger who deconjured up a narrative centered around her and him. Limerence, it wasn't flattering, but degrading, reductive, dehumanizing. He'd poured into her all his expectations, as though she were a container, a heart-shaped cake pan. Matthew pulled at the doorknob, but it caught in its frame. Locked. If he could just speak to her in person. He sat on the curb, shoulders hunched, watched a group of drunken girls trip over themselves, squeal, their heels clinking like ghost stones. One stumbled across the road and past him. Jangling keys, metal scratching against the keyhole, creaking door. His dirty shoe, a door jamb just in time. Then, he followed her in and sat in the stairwell outside Nora's door. Rehearsed his lines in his head, then aloud, knock, knock. If he could just speak to her in person, knock, 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 knock.